Welcome to It's a Wonderful Homestead. Today I am out in the garden, but I'm not going to be working in the garden. I'm going to be gathering basil for our basil pesto that I'm going to make. The recipe that I'm going to be using today calls for 2 cups of basil, but I'm going to be doubling it, so I'm going to be using 4 cups of basil. And when I'm cutting this basil from the stem, I'm taking these flowers and I'm just cutting the flowers off and putting them aside because we do not eat the flowers. And when I take all this basil inside, I'm going to wash it and I'm going to cut out all the stems. I'm back in the kitchen and I rinsed and destemmed my basil, and this is 4 cups of basil, fresh from the garden. And we're also going to be using 2/3 cup of Parmesan cheese, freshly grated, and then 6 to 8 cloves of garlic. And this is 1 cup of olive oil. And then we have 1 teaspoon of salt and also 1 teaspoon of pepper. And then we have our 1 cup of pine nuts. So that's the ingredients that we are going to be using for our fresh pesto. We're going to start by adding the 4 cups of basil into a food processor. And then we're just going to turn on the food processor and chop all the basil up before we add any other ingredients. Now all of our basil is chopped up, and we are going to be adding the other 4 ingredients. Our freshly grated Parmesan, and then 1 cup of pine nuts, garlic, and salt and pepper. So now we are just going to mix this all in the blender, and then we will add the olive oil. So now I'm just going to pour the olive oil into this mix while it is on. Now it's all mixed up. And as you can see, that pesto was super easy to make, so now it is ready to eat. You could just eat it now, or you could serve it now, or what I'm going to be doing today is freezing it. I'm going to move all of this out of the way, and then I'm going to get our freezing container. So this, an ice cube tray, is our super fancy freezing container. But it works even though it's not super fancy. So I'm just going to pour the pesto straight into the ice cube trays. You don't need to butter them first because the pesto already has olive oil in it. So just scoop bits into your ice cube tray. And this pesto is good for fish or crackers. Or what we like to do is we like to get shells, noodle shells, and stuff the shells with this pesto and then pour spaghetti sauce over it. So there you go. This pesto makes 1 ice cube tray full of delicious pesto. And then we just put this in the freezer and we can use it whenever we want. It's a great way to store it in the freezer, and this pesto is super delicious and it's super quick and easy to make, so try it out. So I cleaned it up a little bit, and it actually made 3 more cubes. So it's a dozen in this tray, and then it also made 3 more cubes. And I wanted to say real fast, as I'm putting this in the freezer, that this is a great way to preserve our basil, because we will grow basil every year, and we make pesto with it, and we just freeze it, and then we can use it whenever we want. So it's a great way to preserve our basil. So now I'm going to put it in our freezer. So our cubes are frozen, and we are having them in tonight's dinner. So I'm going to let them defrost in this bowl. So usually we would dump these into a gallon Ziploc baggie and then freeze them. But since we're going to be using them all for dinner tonight, we're just putting them in this bowl. So I'm going to put this cream cheese and the foil in here to start defrosting, softening for tonight's dinner.